We got some big time breaking news, and that breaking news is that there are more WWE releases. So I'm Umar from Real Take Sports, and we got some bad news to talk about. WWE have made some major cuts specifically to NXT 2.0. So what happened here, I'm going to read out the names in literally just a second, but what happened here was that WWE issued out a statement to a lot of different media sources saying, and I quote, "With the continued evolution of NXT 2.0, we've decided to part ways with some of the staff based in our performance center. We thank them for their many contributions, I should say, throughout the years, and I wish them the best." So that was the statement WWE said earlier today before any releases were announced. We didn't know any names. We didn't know anybody who was going to be released. And now we slowly over time, we've learned some of those names. I'm going to read out some of the names, then we'll talk about some of the more prominent ones in order of the way they were released. In order of the way they were released, it came in as Sarah Cummings, who was the Senior Vice President of Consumer Products in WWE headquarters. Then we get to the producers who were cut, and this is where it begins to get very, I don't know whether or no interesting or sad or what have you, but one of the most prominent names, obviously, cut in this was a producer for WWE for a long time. So Road Dogg, Ace Steel, Ryan Katz, William Regal, Dave Kapoor. You guys may have known him as Ranjan Singh. He was the valet for the Great Khali for a while. Scott Armstrong, who you might know as the referee who used to screw Daniel Bryan during his run to WrestleMania. George Carl. Timothy Thatcher, former NXT Tag Team Champion Timothy Thatcher. Danny Burch. Allison Danger was let go. And that's the list as we have it now. Again, they said it was specifically to NXT, and a lot of it targeted, it really just targeted a lot of producers and coaches backstage at NXT. But let's talk about some of the most prominent names. Inarguably, the most prominent, surprising name from these cuts is Road Dogg. Road Dogg, who's been with the company for a very long time, was once the head writer of WWE SmackDown, is now gone. And it comes to a surprise to basically everyone. You thought if there was anyone as far as producer goes, if there was anyone as far as coaches go, and especially where he was in the company, you thought he would have been safe. Because he's got history with the company, obviously. Triple H, him, and Shawn Michaels are the best of friends, and they have a large amount of history. He knows the system. There's really, people don't talk about it. There's no one as far as a writer, producer, or backstage agent goes that knows the company as well as Road Dogg does. Probably, like, the one name that comes to mind would probably be P.S. Michael Hayes, but Road Dogg being let go is a huge deal because it means truly that no one backstage is safe. Guys, as you're coming in, though, please remember to hit that like button, subscribe, hit that notification bell. But Road Dogg let go. The next huge name, William Regal. William Regal, the on-screen GM of NXT, former on-screen GM of NXT, I should say. Then backstage, he was a coach, producer, a scout for WWE. He was known to go around the indie scene around the world and go scout talent. He scouted talent for NXT. He scouted talent for NXT 2.0. He scouted talent for the main roster. And he brought in a lot of people who would become very pivotal to the NXT Black and Gold brand. And now he's gone. And we haven't seen him, obviously, since he was taken out by Karrion Kross. And the I don't know whether it's ironic or what have you, but the ironic, I guess, thing about that whole situation is that angle, like the three people involved in that angle, Samoa Joe, Karrion Kross, and William Regal, two of them are not with the company anymore. Karrion Kross is now Killer Kross on the Indies. He's gone. William Regal has now been released. I'll talk about what their future might hold, but huge loss for WWE there, releasing William Regal. And I know a lot of people are going to say, well, William Regal is not a wrestler. William Regal doesn't do this. William Regal was a coach and a scout. And the best scout that there is out there in wrestling right now. There's not a lot of people who understand what contemporary wrestling is and keep that old school mindset and set more than William Regal. Because remember, he was a building block. He was a huge part of building up what the NXT Black and Gold was. A lot of that was because of things he produced, things he scouted. It's not all of it, obviously, but he had a large amount of influence in what went into that brand. So Regal's gone. It is again, I think it's the finishing up of the changing of the guard. And don't be surprised if we see other people who were part of that NXT Black and Gold era. Like, I mean, I don't want to put names out there, obviously, but like, don't be surprised if we start to see wrestlers from that brand let go. And there's one specific wrestler that I think we all have in mind that unfortunately is at risk of being let go. But yeah, so there's Regal, Road Dogg, like we just talked about. Again, this is breaking news, so it's kind of coming in as it does. Dave Kapoor, who a lot of people might remember as Ranjin Singh, he was the manager for the Great Khali back in 2006 to 2011. A lot of people don't know this. Dave Kapoor was one of WWE's longest running employees. He's been a writer there for, I believe, nearly 20 years. So he's had a large amount of backstage influence, a large backstage role there as a writer and what have you, and as a guy who actually knew a little bit about wrestling. So he's gone. Ranjin Singh is being thrown back into the fire, and I'm sorry to make light of that as a joke, but I mean, but Ranjin Singh is now gone from WWE. Again, one of the longest running employees there was in WWE, now gone. And two actually of the longest running. You had Road Dogg and you had Ranjin Singh, along with William Regal as well. William Regal, I believe he spent a little while like in 2010, 2011 away from the company, but after that he came back, yeah, and very quickly. So he's been there for a while, and it's just sad. Timothy Thatcher, I just mentioned him earlier on. He was also let go, and that's a big loss for it's a big loss, honestly, for NXT. I mean, Timothy Thatcher, say what you want about how he was not really highlighted over the past number of weeks, but man, oh man, it is just, again, it's kind of finishing it up, that changing of the guard. And Timothy Thatcher, it makes sense given what WWE kind of looks for when they're making these types of budget cut decisions. They're looking to get rid of older people, and Timothy Thatcher is 38 years old. He was still in NXT, and you could argue that there really wasn't a lot that WWE had planned for him. But the weird thing is that Thatcher, Thatcher, he was a little bit of a mainstay like with NXT. I mean, he was, again, former NXT tag champion. Like, I don't know. It's weird. Oh, man. Anyway, so again, I'm just reading the news as it comes in. Again, the statement from WWE before all of these releases came down was, with the continued evolution of NXT 2.0, we've decided to part ways with some of our staff based in our performance center. We thank them for their many contributions throughout the years and wish them all the best. That is what WWE said. Again, Road Dogg, Dave Kapoor, William Regal, Ace Steel, Ryan Katz, former coaches at NXT now. Or Scott Armstrong, former referee for WWE for a very long time as well. He was let go. And that is just the climate that we're in. That's just the climate that WWE is in. They have a lot of moving parts, a lot of changing desires about what they want their product to be. And right now, I think you're seeing that happen. And again, the most surprising one to me is Road Dogg, because he's been with the company for so long, and also you have to factor in that Road Dogg is his best friend. He's like one of Shawn Michaels' best friend, one of Triple H's best friends, and Shawn Michaels is running NXT right now. As far as in the headset on the day, like, it is just, I don't understand. I get they want to change the guard, but it almost feels like they let some of their own people go who knew exactly what they wanted to do and would fit their vision. It doesn't make sense. But William Regal, what can you say? Probably the best scout right now there is in pro wrestling. And as far as where some of these people go from here, William Regal, do not be surprised. Do not be surprised if William Regal ends up in AEW. And I'm not saying he's going to go, oh, I know there's going to be all these marks out there.
William Regal can't go wrestle in AEW.
Like, no, William Regal's not going to go wrestle in AEW, but I 100% could see AEW, and they should actually. Any company should, whether you're Impact, AEW, MLW, NWA, wherever you are, get William Regal backstage, talking to your talent, and like influencing them, helping them out. That is so important for young talent, especially with the roster that AEW has. You have a lot of guys who are very young, who are very green, who have a lot of potential, but you need to have, like, I think, a little bit of that experience to come in. There's no one better. There's no better teacher. Ask Bryan Danielson. Ask a lot of these guys. There's no better teacher right now, I think, than William Regal, and there's no better scout for young, even more talent if you're AEW than William Regal. I think he would be a difference maker backstage for sure. So any young wrestling company who wants to get their young guys or young talent over, get their young talent involved, get their young talent to become better, hire William Regal. You could say similar things about Road Dogg. He knows what it takes to run a wrestling, to produce wrestling and do things like that. So I could see him. He's definitely going to wind up somewhere. Dave Kapoor was a writer again for years, and I don't think Dave Kapoor he could probably end up anywhere. He could end up like writing a show one day. I don't know, but yeah, Allison Danger, you divvy knacker, yeah. Oh, that hurts. The fact that Allison Danger was released. Mister in the chat says, it's real funny how WWE isn't afraid to release people anymore, but they were afraid when AEW first started. Yep, well, that was the whole thing. When AEW first started, they were in talent hoarding mode, where they just signed as much talent as they possibly could, and now they've changed the entire structure of the company because AEW is what they are, and AEW is because the original plan was to make sure AEW's growth was stifled. That didn't happen. AEW grew into what they are now, and so plans change, and now they're getting all their money from all these different sources. Then they want to inflate their profits to be more profitable. So that's what they're doing, and they have a different vision for their product. Chucky Dolls in the chat says WWE and wrestling is dead. I mean, WWE is not a wrestling company. I think like that's for anyone who was like in doubt or whatever about that idea. I think the last year or two have kind of just proven that fact that WWE is not a wrestling company. They're a sports entertainment company, and that's fine. Because there are elements of sports entertainment that apparently involve pro wrestling, as far as WWE is concerned, and that part of it does keep people coming back. Like that's what I watch. I mean, I watch. Like, I don't watch WWE for their corny sports entertainment crap. It's not entertaining. I watch it for the in-ring wrestling. So I mean, but that's also it. Like, you have a lot of wrestling fans who watch sports entertainment not because they like sports entertainment, but because they like pro wrestling. But you also do have a lot of sports entertainment fans out there, and there is a difference. There is a difference between sports entertainment and pro wrestling, but wrestling or sports entertainment involves wrestling, if that makes sense. 202 Degrees in the chat says, Omar, what is going on? I just got off work. Update me. Well, I'll update you. WWE have made some massive cuts. Again, one more time. WWE have made some massive cuts to NXT specifically as far as backstage roles go. William Regal, he was a coach, scout for NXT, and also the on-screen GM until earlier this year. Gone. Road Dogg, who was a backstage producer for WWE, former head writer of SmackDown, gone. Scott Armstrong, gone from the company. We have Dave Kapoor, gone from the company. Timothy Thatcher, gone from the company. All of these people released. Other coaches, 8 Steel, Ryan Katz, Allison Danger was released. So you had a lot of people who've been paying attention to NXT or know a little bit about backstage NXT know who a lot of these people are. But again, most surprising names, William Regal and Road Dogg. 202 in the chat says Shotzi and Dakota Kai were Triple H projects. Yeah, I mean, hopefully they remain with the company and remain employed. Jason in the chat says, "Screw the big promotions, bring back the territories." I mean, you you have a little bit of the territorial feel, honestly, with what AEW was doing with the Forbidden Door. Because you had these people coming in and coming out, kind of doing these tours. Like Minoru Suzuki did a tour in AEW, and they had some people going back and forth between NWA, Impact. It felt a little. It reminded you a little bit of the territory days, but I mean, the territories. It's gonna be difficult for the territories to come back. Like it's. Yeah, I don't even know what to say. It's just gonna be difficult. 202 says, William Regal is automatically going to be CEO manager for AEW Rampage. I'm going to go ahead and say it. It would fit him perfectly because he can say War Games. No, he can't say War Games, though. WWE owns the name War Games, so AEW won't say it on their air. That's why they're forced to call their War Games match, which, by the way, is more closer to the actual War Games match than WWE's version is. But that's why they're forced to call their War Games match Blood and Guts. But they're not going to do the on-screen GM thing. The AEW is not going to do that. William Regal, I promise you, though, somebody, whether it's Impact, AEW, or whoever, will bring William Regal on in the backstage capacity. They 100% will. He is just too valuable as a scout, as a coach. The knowledge he has, the knowledge he has, and the ability that he honestly still has. I think he's going to come in, and he has a lot of connections. Just saying, with AEW, Bryan Danielson, he helped train Bryan Danielson. He was one of Bryan Danielson's biggest believers in WWE, and they're very close. So don't be surprised. Road Dogg, don't be surprised if he ends up maybe in Impact or somewhere else. He's got a wealth of knowledge as well, especially a wealth of knowledge producing television. Dave Kapoor as well, the former Ranjin Singh. He's been a writer for WWE for nearly 20 years. So, yeah. Again, big day in pro wrestling. All these releases. Hopefully there aren't any more. But, I guess these days you can't be too sure. But those are some of the big ones. And we're not even at the first quarter yet, are we? Yeah. Sad day. And it's so weird how numb that we've gotten. It's so weird how numb we've gotten to this too, isn't it? 202 Degrees says, you know what? I take it back. He does know Scott D'Amore from Impact Wrestling. Yeah. There's a lot of ways this could land. We'll eventually find out where some of these people go. I'm not sure. I don't think that the 90-day no compete, I should say, counts for backstage personnel because they're technically employees. So I think that this is going to be, we could see people, be hired fairly quickly. 202 says, no other wrestlers like that. No big profile. The biggest profile wrestler that was released was Timothy Thatcher. So, yeah, no other wrestlers released. Although, who knows what could happen. We're basically expecting more to happen within the next few months. I think the first quarterly call is going to be sometime. It's going to be sometime in. It's going to be sometime actually in March, isn't it? Yeah. Actually, no, they're going to have one pretty soon for the end of quarter 2021. So, hopefully. I don't even know what to say at this point. They're going to do what they're going to do. It's just how things work now. Anyway, guys, so this has been your Real Take update on the recent round of WWE releases. If you're watching on YouTube, please hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please be sure to hit that follow button. And as always, leave us a 5-star review if you haven't already. In the meantime, I'm Omer from Real Take Sports. Keep it real.